All right, what an exciting way to start Week 10. Welcome to First and Pod. Andrew Fillipponi, Patrick Peterson, our producer Spencer Ray. A game so good I've lost my voice and can barely talk. So this will be an interesting podcast episode. Actually, I've been battling an atrocious cold. I've been chugging tea, and I've got 3 cough drops in my mouth right now, Pat. So this should be we'll see what happens. What a game. We saw Derrick Henry's ass tonight. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Twice.
I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if you have an explanation for that. Why is it so easy to pull a guy's pants down? But that happened. And we saw the Bengals lose. What a drive at the end. What a touchdown pass from Burrow to Chase. There was a lot of that. But then the 2-point try. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I want to start with the 2-point try, Pat, because right decision to go for it. Absolutely to win the game there. Baltimore had enough time where they could drive and maybe try a field goal, though Justin Tucker is turning into a liability for them. He missed an extra point in this game. That's one of the crazier things that's happened this NFL season. He's now one of the league's worst kickers.
Right.
And then you go for 2. They have what I think looked like what they wanted, which was Chase singled up, call a timeout, then come back out. They get Chase singled up again, but they don't throw it to him. They throw it to the backup tight end. There was a defensive holding call that went unnoticed, and Burrow gets smacked in the helmet again, and there should have been a face mask penalty. So 2 penalties go uncalled, so the Ravens got lucky with that, Pat.
3.
But can you explain to me why Burrow didn't just throw the ball to Chase again on that last play?
Yeah, I was confused on, first, why they didn't get Chase the ball after that amazing throw and catch that him and Joe Burrow had between each other to put them in position to go for 2. But my issue with that whole scenario, the whole situation was they came out, like you said, they got what they wanted. Jamar singled up by himself. And at the 13 personnel, they come out in the same 13 personnel, have Jamar singled up, then motion a tight end over there to now put more bodies over there. They should have came out and had kept their same exact set to where now Jamar have options on either he want to run the back shoulder fade or the over the top fade or the slant or a whip route. He had options because now he's working one-on-one with a cornerback. Now, they did end up getting what they want. I thought Joe should have put the ball in a little bit lower proximity so the receiver can haul it in. But for the most part, I was really upset with Joe not going to the guy who pretty much helped them get down there and put them in position to go for 2 points.
It was think about this. Higgins doesn't play. Yep. And so Baltimore really knew that they just had to stop Jamar Chase because they've been great against the run, and the Bengals don't even try to run the ball.
Right.
And yet they gave up 264 receiving yards to Chase, 3 touchdowns.
Crazy.
Burrow throws for 428, 4 touchdowns. He's right. He said before the game, I'm playing my best football ever. And they're 4-6 with him playing the best football of his career. Now, the Ravens are 7-3, Pat, and Lamar Jackson throws 4 touchdowns too.
Yeah.
But it's like these teams are mirror images
because
they both have the same issue. They can't stop the pass. And that's why I don't look at the Ravens as a Super Bowl contender when you've got the league's worst pass defense, Pat. What the heck's going on there?
Yeah, those guys have some problems in the back end. I don't know what it is because they're applying pressure to the quarterback. They're getting to the quarterback. Well, they had 4 sacks tonight as a defense. So I don't know if it's guys not being. Well, I know what it is. They're not close enough in coverage because we saw that tonight. Jamar Chase went absolutely berserk and not able to tackle him after he catched the ball. That was the biggest difference. After he caught the ball, I want to know, Spence, you might have to tell me what was his yak, because I'm sure it was north of 80 yards after you touch the
How about
football.
friggin'
So
Wallace's yak on that catch and
yeah,
run? My God, Cincinnati,
that
can we tackle somebody? That was a
yeah,
turning point play.
that really was a turning point play in that game. But yeah, they just had they couldn't they had no answer for Jamar Chase, whether it was tackling him, whether it was being in close proximity of him, no matter what it was. Even if they was in close proximity, you saw the throw that Joe Burrow delivered to him in the fourth quarter to put them down one between three defenders, just a little teardrop pass. So that was a beautiful pitch and catch there. So yeah, the Baltimore Ravens got to figure something out in their back end, man, because this is not a Super Bowl winning recipe, and Jim Harbaugh knows that, and he tried to address the issue, adding Tre'Davious White in right before the trade deadline. Now we're going to see if we can get acclimated with that defense and
I
see
didn't
if
even
he can
see him
make his
tonight.
presence felt.
I don't think he
Yeah, he
played.
probably. Yeah, I don't think he'll probably play next week because he just got there. He got to play in a game in 2 days. So I didn't expect to see him suited up at all.
Well, they got to do something. I mean, they've given up more yards to number one wide receivers than any team in the NFL this season. So eventually, when you've got to win at least 3 games to win a Super Bowl, you gotta stop or slow down somebody. So even though they won an exciting game and they're 2-0 against Cincinnati, and it looks like you can almost stick a fork in the Bengals now, I still think there's major cause for concern there. The last point on this game that I want to make, Pat, is from a strategic standpoint, you got to tell me why this happens. So Cincinnati, in the midst of this Baltimore comeback, they're on the fringe of field goal range, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2. Why are both plays bombs? How does that happen?
I don't know, but Zach came into this game with an aggressive mind, aggressive play calling mindset, and he left it all on the field. That's the only thing I can think of, because you can hear Al Michaels just talking about it all night. Him and Kurt Herbstreit were just talking about the conversation that they had, with Zach, and how aggressive he wanted to be in his play calling, and he was nowhere being shy of that tonight. So I don't know why they take the deep shots, the deep shot in that scenario, but it ultimately came back to haunt them.
A shout out to Kirk Herbstreit. I didn't think he had his best game tonight, and he was playing hurt because his dog passed away, his service dog, Ben, which goes on the road with him to game day and college and NFL football. And I'm a big pet guy. I've got actually 2 dogs right next to me right now. And like when your dog dies, it's like a part of your body is ripped out. It's like losing an organ or a family member. So I got to give him credit for being able to persevere through that. Okay, Pat, let's get to the games here in week 10. Starting with the Lions and Texans on Sunday Night Football. You said on this podcast weeks ago when Aidan Hutchinson went down, hey, Detroit, go get Zadarius Smith. They must listen. We must have, Dan Campbell heard that and said, Pat is onto something. Let's now throw him some money for such a great idea. Because they got Zadarius Smith. So you tell me you wanted this guy to go to Detroit. How much does this help their Super Bowl chances?
It helps their Super Bowl chances tremendously, because now you're adding a guy. He's not an Aidan Hutchinson, but he can provide Aidan Hutchinson type performances. Like he's a guy who's stout on the run. He's a guy that can harass the quarterback, and he's strong as an ox. You got to remember, I had an opportunity to play with this guy in Minnesota, and being teamed up with him and being able to watch him work day in and day out and cause havoc to an offense on a weekly basis was unbelievable. So now he's coming over to an already high-powered team, and now he's going to make them that much better as a defense, as far as their toughness, as far as their physicality, and also still having the ability to get after the quarterback.
I'm going to trust you on. I've watched him play in the AFC North, where I am with the Steelers, and I've always looked at him as a rock guy. But when I argued against you, which was dumb, I said I felt like Detroit needed a Max Crosby type, because that was the type of guy they were losing. I thought they were the Myles Garrett type.
Yeah.
And I didn't trust the Lions defense to hold up without Aidan Hutchinson. Now, they've shown me since. Now, they've played Tennessee, not a good team, but they went to Green Bay in the rain, held their own even when Brian Branch got thrown out of that game, that they could slow down Green Bay's offense, excuse me. They don't need to be great defensively. They just need to be better than bad. They need to be
Right.
average. And so I
Exactly.
think they can do that now with Hutchinson out, with the addition of Smith, provided their offense keeps it going the way that it is. And I see no reason why they can't. Jameson Williams is coming off that suspension this week. We'll see how he gets assimilated back in. I do think this is a sneaky game, though, because Houston, even though the record is good, Pat, we feel like they've underachieved
Yeah.
just in their style of play. That last Thursday night game, they couldn't protect Stroud. I think that they'll get the Lions will get Houston's best punch. I think that D'Amico Ryans, with extra time to prepare, given who they're playing, he wants to make a statement, and I anticipate C.J. Stroud playing one of his best games of the season. So I very much look forward to this one.
Yeah. I tell you what, they better shorten those passing concepts because the offensive line is not giving CJ Stroud over 3 seconds
Nope.
thus far this season. So they got to figure something out in the passing game if they want this to be his best game of the season. All right, we got the Cowboys and the Eagles. Dak Prescott was placed on IR. Cowboys added at the deadline. And what are they doing?
Okay, so they added Mingo. Okay, they bring him in for a 4th-round pick, the Panthers wide receiver. This was a stunning move in that this guy has been a big-time disappointment in Carolina. And so I think the initial reaction is Jerry Jones on drugs? I mean, why are they trying to make this year's team better? But they're not, okay? This is a move with an eye towards the future. Jerry Jones didn't make this trade to help the 2024 Cowboys. He did it to add depth to future teams. This is a buy low, potentially get high results type of move. It's a move that I think tricked their fans into thinking, oh, they're still serious about this year. No, they're not. It's over. And this Cooper Rush Mirage. Yep. I don't know what I was thinking. Cooper Cup is what I was thinking there. See, this is what happens when you're playing at 75% with this cold that I have. Cooper Rush was 4-1 in 2022 when Dak was out, but that's because Dallas could run the ball back then and play great defense.
Yep.
He doesn't have that around him now. And by the way, his offensive coordinator from that team is calling plays for the Eagles in this game and knows him inside and out, Kellen Moore. So, yeah, it's just what a hilarious disaster this has been for the Cowboys. It's like everything that could go wrong for them this year has gone wrong in a season that they had circled as make or break for them. And it's just been made worse. And this move is in no way going to give them the kind of lift that I don't even think they think it will. It's about maybe this guy being a contributor in the next couple of seasons, Pat.
Probably. The only thing I could think of is that they had their eyes on this kid out of the draft. They fell in love with.
That's a good point. They did. They had a very high grade on him, they said.
So that's the only thing that I can think of, that they really, really love what they saw out of him coming out of college, with visiting with him and throughout the NFL combine and the draft and things like that. So that's the only thing I could see coming out of this move, that they thought that they really see something out of this kid and that he was being misused in Carolina, and hopefully they can get some productivity out of him.
Pat, when you're in the NFL and you're either preparing for the Cowboys or the Cowboys come up in conversation, do you guys take them seriously? I mean, when you're playing a team, you always, whether a team's, 8-0 or 0-8, you've got to take them seriously because they're pros.
Right.
But you take them seriously. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you take them seriously. I mean, I believe I only lost to the Cowboys. Let me see. Once, I think. Yeah, I think I only lost to the Cowboys once. So I got it. No, I'm lying. I lost to him twice because I lost to him. My last time playing him was in Minnesota in 2021.
Well, and the one against them that I remember was not a pretty game. If I'm thinking of the same game you're thinking of.
Yeah, the one, it was like Monday night, Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat the crap out of us. Yeah, that was not a pretty game. But yeah, no, yeah, you take the Cowboys serious. I just, me personally, I always thought I was pretty lucky, not pretty lucky, had a pretty good record against them. So I always came into the game like, yeah, we're gonna whoop their ass. That's
Yeah.
just how I thought. That's just how I was. So no matter who we played, that's just who I was. I thought we was gonna kick their ass.
49ers Bucks. Christian McCaffrey set to return in this game. Will San Francisco become great again with McCaffrey?
No, not right
No.
away. Yeah, not right away. I mean, these guys coming off of what is the injury? Because you hear calf,
Achilles
you hear
tendonitis.
Achilles, you hear so many different things. So if it's Achilles tendonitis, yes, no, they're not going to be great right away. It's going to take time. Like I can only imagine Christian is probably, if he averaged 36 touches a game, he's probably going to get 12 to 18 Sunday. So they're gonna gradually work him back into his role, which is being the bell cow for their offense when they're not passing the ball. So I don't see them being great right away. Plus, the NFC West, man, with the Cardinals and the Rams playing at such a high level right now, I think those are the two teams to beat at this point and at this stage of the season out of the NFC West. So they got a real uphill climb because they're 2 games out of the lead right now.
What are they? Isn't it a half game? Hold on here.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got the NFC West standings. I should know this off the top of my head, but again, this cold has caused me to go into a fog. No, they're only a half game out. 5-4 for Arizona, San Francisco 4-4.
Gotcha. But yeah, I think it's gonna take Christian some time to get back into it. But I like what I'm seeing out of the Arizona Cardinals and the St. Louis Rams. I meant St. Louis, the Los Angeles Rams.
They are 22-5 when he plays in San Francisco. So when he is in the lineup, historically in the last year and a half, they turn into a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to respect that, but I also have to take into account that this is an injury that is probably not, well, you rested and now it's done, it's over with, and you're never going to have to deal with it again this season.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be lingering.
Right. So we're going to see him with that gun thing that they have on the sideline massaging it. I don't know what the heck they call that.
We call that a hypervolt.
That's going to be, charge that sucker. Have 5 or 6 of those guys getting ready here for him. You figure. I think the bottom line for me is when we've talked about San Francisco, I think I've always been skeptical that we were just not going to see him play at all this year. Now that he's back, I do take them way more seriously. I'll pick them to win the division at the halfway point. And I do think there's a chance he still ends up going for like 800 or 900 yards this year, maybe over 1,000 combined if he can get it together. So I think he has a chance to make them great again. Yes, Nick Bosa, he thinks they're already great, and he's wearing hats to back that up and probably getting fined for wearing those hats.
There's not no probably. They already handed him that
What
FedEx.
do you think that fine looked like? Do you think it was 6 figures?
No. Probably like 17.5.
Oh my God. He probably spends that on a team meal.
Yeah, that's chump change for him. So he wasn't worried about that.
By the way, how about Shannon Sharp said that he budgets only $300 per date? Shannon.
Date or day?
Yes.
You said date? Like taking a, oh, wow.
300. Bro, I'm not even in your tax bracket. If I want to take my old lady out for a nice dinner, I'm fine spending more than $300. Come on now, man.
But the thing is that those don't be his ladies. Those just be, I guess, eye candy. So that's why I guess he have a limit. Like, so it's different for you and I. Like with my wife, there's no limit. You know what I mean? When you take your wife out, there's no limit if you take her out to a nice dinner.
Yeah, but if you're trying to make a good first impression here, Pat.
But that's the thing. I don't think he's trying to make a good first impression.
Evidently, he's not. If he's counting the money in his head and telling her to limit her drinks and everything else, dude.
He's in for a happy ending.
Well, that's what the Instagram Live told us.
Oh, yeah. We'll say that for another day. Dolphins and the Rams, only 2 things these teams did at the deadline was The Los Angeles Rams traded Tre'Davious White to the Baltimore Ravens. Was that the right approach?
Yeah, so both of these teams are relatively quiet, I think, is what we're going for here. Miami just stood pat. They didn't sell, even though they're 2-6. There were all kinds of rumors about your old friend Calais Campbell getting moved, and he could help somebody. My God, that guy is just, I don't know how he does it. I mean, he might be able to play into his 40s.
Yeah.
It's amazing how you give him an assignment, he stays in his lane, he knows what he's good at, and you can get 25 to 30 really good snaps from him still in an NFL game. So he stays put there, and the Rams didn't sell. And I told you a couple of weeks ago that I thought this winning streak was going to be misleading because it was going to keep them in the race, but ultimately they weren't going to make the playoffs. I still feel that way.
Because you said that Cooper Kupp and Puka won't survive the season. That's why you said they're going to miss it.
Yes.
But you're saying if they are able to stay healthy and finish out the season strong, you still think it'll slip away?
I still think that the Niners will win the NFC West. The Falcons will win the NFC South. The Lions will win the NFC North. And the Commanders will win the NFC East. And then the Eagles, the Vikings, and the Packers. 7 playoff teams. But they can, I think they'll be in contention. I don't think they're going to end up, missing out by 2 or 3 games or something like that. I do think they should have shopped them and seen what they could have gotten back, a first or second round pick. If there was anything close to that, I would have jumped all over it. But I told you about Miami. I think Miami, even though they're 2-6, they're on a fact-finding mission this year. They got to see now that these guys are back offensively. If they can get a winning streak here and give them hope for 2025, they've scored 27 points in both games with Tua.
Yeah.
They've just lost both on the final play. So they're I don't think they'll rally and make the playoffs, but I can see them being a spoiler big time, Pat. And if they are, I think McDaniel saves his job because they'll say if he had a healthy Tua, they would have had a much better season.
That too, but what I noticed from the Dolphins, man, it just seemed like a one-trick pony, man. With these stretch runs, you get these motion and wheel routes with Tyreek Hill or Waddle. I don't see anything else out of their offense. It's just they're so bland. Like, yeah, it got a lot of moving parts, but it's just zone read left, zone read right, screen left, screen right. Tyreek coming motion on the jet motion. He's running a wheel or a post. You see nothing else out of their offense. So I'm with you. This is a fact check game for them to get out of first gear and get some more flair in their offense. I believe defenses have caught on to what the Dolphins like to do and what they're trying to do coming to the game because they haven't shown teams anything different.
Well, then he needs a counterpunch. Is what he needs.
And have you seen a counterpunch yet?
No. I mean, I think I'd take 27 points per game. But if your point is they're putting the same thing on film every week, then we're seeing really the offense is not about his play calling. It's just about the dudes. If he didn't have the weaponry there, they wouldn't be a good offense. You're telling me it's the fact that they've got 2 elite wide receivers and a pretty good quarterback. It ain't the play calling. No. It ain't like they got some mad scientist there, even though he came off as like a geek and a guy that knew everything about football when he first got hired there. Giants and Panthers in Munich. Why are we? I mean, poor Germany. This is the game we're sending them. Come on now.
I heard like Germany, New York Giants have like the biggest fan base out of Munich. That's what I hear.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're friggin' marks. They should have. They never heard of the Kansas City Chiefs for crying out loud. That's a real. They picked a horrible team. They've won 1 playoff game since they won. Actually, they haven't won a playoff game, I don't think, since they went to the Super Bowl in 2011 and won.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they beat us.
Oh yeah, they beat you guys. What am I talking about? Yeah, I think I tried to block that out for your sake. Bryce Young, he is now back to being Carolina's #1 quarterback.
Yeah.
Dalton's healthy, but they're going to stick with Young. Is that the right call?
I mean, you might as well at this point. You lost with Andy Dalton in there. You didn't get really what you got 1 win out of Andy, right?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yep.
Yeah, you got 1 win out of Andy, 1 win out of Bryce. So you're back to square one. Might as well keep the young fella in there. You got, I mean, I won't necessarily say anything to lose because you don't want to, put him in harm's way and have, possibly looking for another quarterback next year, which they may be anyway. But yeah, it's the right move. And like there's nothing else for them to do or no one that he can learn behind. The only way that in this situation, the only way that he's going to get better is continue getting reps.
It's a really interesting spot because they're so freaking young offensively now
Yeah.
because of the trades they made. So they're going to start 2 rookie wide receivers, Leggett and Cocker.
Did they trade Thielen?
They did not, but I don't think he's
hurt?
ready to play yet. I still
Oh,
think
he's
he's
hurt.
on.
Okay.
I still think he's dealing with that hamstring injury.
Oh, okay.
They're getting Brooks back off IR, the Texas kid who tore his ACL last year, who they drafted. So they'll have him with Hubbard in the backfield, who just got a contract extension. So they're ridiculously young. And you'd say, okay, so that's good from a developmental standpoint. See what you got in these guys. But if they struggle, then that's kind of to be expected. Like it's a situation where I almost feel like it's not a no-lose situation. If they do great, you feel amazing that this young team, this young offense was able to come together the way that Green Bay's did in the second half of last year. But if they don't, I'm going to feel like, well, what did you expect from a bunch of 22 and 23-year-olds?
Yeah.
Like you actually thought you just throwing these guys out there together was going to generate offense and points and wins? No. So Young is 3-17 as a starter. I don't expect it to get much better, and I don't think he'll look particularly good. And they're going to have a decision to make because they're going to have a very high draft pick, and there's going to be 2 or 3 quarterbacks there. You know what? I'll just say this, Pat. I don't think Dion will let his kid go there.
I don't think so either.
I'm just going to throw that out there. If they've got the number 1 pick, he's going to do everything in his power to try to get his son on another football team and not with the Panthers.
100%. 100%. Shador would not be playing or putting on a Carolina uniform. I can damn near guarantee you that one. All right, we got the Steelers and Commanders. Both teams were buyers at the deadline. Which team is the bigger Super Bowl contender?
So I think that Washington made the bigger splash getting Lattimore. I mean, that was a huge move for them to bring him in from New Orleans to get a corner of his caliber. But I think the Steelers are closer just because for everything Jaden Daniels has done this year, and we've talked him up, so has everybody else. It's the complete package with the Steelers as long as Russell Wilson plays anywhere close to the level of football he's playing right now. The defense is second in the league. They're running the ball so much better lately with Najee. Their offensive line is getting healthy, and they're getting used to playing with each other. They've got Mike Williams now there as, he's not a great number 2 by any means, but he's an upgrade over what they have, and he fits into what Russ wants to do, which is throw the ball downfield and let the guy go up and get it. So now you got 2 of those guys with Pickens. And we just started with Baltimore and Cincinnati and their defensive issues and how that sets the Steelers up in the division. They've got 6 AFC North games left. They haven't played a division game yet, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I think the Steelers are a dark horse. I'm not just saying that as a hometown bias guy. Spence knows that when I need to rip this team to shreds, I do it all the time. But I'm in a very, very healthy spot with this team. And I think they've got a shot. Not to say Washington doesn't, but Pat, they've been playing Super Bowls for almost 60 years, and we've never seen a rookie in that game yet.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But I'm with you 100%. I think it's the Pittsburgh Steelers because they have the total package, as you alluded to, with the defense being as stout as they have been, not just this year, over the years. Then adding Preston Smith to that already high-powered defensive line that just made them that much better. And the way Russell Wilson is playing the quarterback position, it just unlocks so many doors for that Pittsburgh Steelers offense because now you go from averaging 16 to 18 points a game, now averaging 28 to 31 points a game. So that's a big difference. And we all know that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is not giving up anything over 17 points. So if Russell is able to continue the level of play that he's playing with right now, I'm with you 100%, man. This could be a
Sounds
dark
like you
horse
like him,
team.
Pat. Sounds
Yeah,
like you give him a shot.
yeah. I give them a shot for sure because now they have a quarterback that is not afraid to push the envelope and push the ball down the field to continue to apply pressure to opposing team defenses.
Falcons and Saints. New Orleans fired Dennis Allen. We called this one after they
Yep.
lost to Carolina. We knew he was cooked. Should the Saints hire Bill Belichick this offseason?
No, no. I think the Saints need to go down a whole new rabbit hole. Just go get you a young head coach. I don't know from where. Maybe bring somebody in from uh Ben Johnson. I think he's gonna be gone way early. Let me see who will be a good coach there. I don't think that's a Bill job though. I don't think that's a Coach Bill Belichick job.
What about it do you think makes it something Bill would want to look the other way on?
Quarterback situation for one.
Mm-hmm.
I think he need. No, I don't think he needs a solid quarterback. I think he needs to have a quarterback that he likes. And Derek Carr turns the ball over way too much for Bill Belichick to like him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, I think that'd be the number one. Having a solid foundation at the quarterback position. Because you got to think about it, he just left 2 years without Tom Brady, and that was miserable for him. So I can only imagine for him to come out of retirement, he want to make sure that he has a solid foundation at the quarterback position because if you don't have a quarterback, man, the football field becomes 150 yards long.
It really does not seem like a good job. They feel like they're stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
They need to get somebody in there like the Colts did with Joe Flacco or like the Browns maybe did with Jameis Winston. We'll see what happens. But they need to get somebody in there who's a quarterback that's had success in this league, who they sign as a backup, and go to this guy very quickly next year if Derek Carr can't get it done, and hope that that's the guy that ends up being like their bridge quarterback while they wait to draft one. Because, I think that they're in a situation where I don't see them being completely bad enough to get a great quarterback in the draft. Well, I don't actually. I got to take that back.
They'll be top 5.
Right. I mean, what are they, 2-7 right now? So
yeah,
I guess they are going to be in that spot. So if they end up with a top 5 or 6 pick, they can get the quarterback to change the franchise's fortunes. But I agree with you. I think Belichick doesn't want a young, unproven quarterback or a guy that's on the downside of his career. He needs somebody in his prime if he's going to run down Don Shula and become the NFL's all-time win leader as a coach.
100%. Broncos chief Patty Mahomes has a sore ankle. Concerning?
I'm going to say something that you're going to be shocked by.
What you going to say?
I wouldn't play him in this game on Sunday. I'd play Carson Wentz. And the reason why I say that is, I don't know if you've seen the forecast for Arrowhead, but they're getting a ton of rain on Saturday, like a gigantic amount of rain, and they're playing a college football game in that stadium Saturday night. Iowa State plays Kansas there. So the last thing I want is for my franchise quarterback to re-injure his ankle because the field isn't up to snuff there, and I'm worried it isn't going to be good. You don't want him running around in mud patches and cow fields and stuff like that in a game that you could probably win with a backup. You're a friggin' touchdown favorite in this game, and you've got one of the best defenses. So, that's living in your fears, as Mike Tomlin would say. But, I am concerned if he's going to go out there and gut it out, and the conditions are going to be way less than ideal for this game. Sometimes you got to keep players. Everybody wants to play. Sometimes you got to keep players from hurting themselves and making things worse. And they could absolutely win this game with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, they definitely can win this game without Carson Wentz. But I'm shocked that you said that. But Patrick's not sitting out of this game. Because just the competitor that he is, I feel like he's a guy. Just you got to think about it. That game that they was in. Granted, there won't be a game played on it before they play on it, but he hurt his ankle in that game. He can barely walk across the field, and God had Cupid have some of that ibuprofen and shot down into Patrick, and next thing you know, he started walking again, and he got back in the game the next drive and dropping back like nothing ever happened. So I feel like Patrick he understands when to push the limits or when he can get away with certain movements when he's in the pocket on that bad ankle. So I have confidence in him that he'll be okay. He'll survive this game. And you got to think about this too. I'm going back when he hurt his ankle in the Las Vegas Raider game. They say he never missed a practice the whole entire week. Never missed a practice. So this guy knows what it's going to take working on it throughout practice. So it's not a surprise to him when it comes up to the game. And that's what I admire about Patrick as well,
Oh yeah,
because
I mean, I love that
most
about him too.
most guys when they're injured, they want to sit in their training room. They want to nurse the injury in there. But if you have plans on playing, the only way you can know your limits if you're out there actually practicing on it. Like, granted, every injury is different. But if you have enough mustard and enough juice to go out there and at least give it 50%, 70%, guys could tell you like we're not going 100% in practice every single snap anyway, like a full out 100%. So you got to understand your limitations, and then that's how you're able to give yourself that green light if you're able to play in the upcoming game or not.
Spence wants to know if you think it would be Andy Reid's call or if it would be in Patrick Mahomes' hands. Like if Reid watched Mahomes in practice and he was laboring, but Mahomes said, "I'm still good to go. I'm playing." Do you think Andy Reid would say, "Hey, it's only week 10. We don't need you to be Superman right now. We need you healthy for this run at history for a three-peat. We're going to give you a week to rest." Do you think he could actually say that, or would Mahomes say, "Nope, you're wrong. I'm actually the most important person in this organization. I call the shots. If I want to play, I'm going to play."
Well, Patrick probably won't say that, but I'm almost 100% that he would shoot that idea down, saying that, "Coach, there's no way that I'm leaving my guys out there. I plan on finishing what I started, and that's the course for this three-peat. So I can never ever see Andy even bringing that up to Patrick, or even Patrick going to Andy and asking him, can he be watched after doing this game. So nah, I don't see it happening.
Vikings, Jags. Does Minnesota feel like a playoff lock to you?
A playoff lock
At 6-2.
See. Let's see what teams we got in the AFC. So we got what week is this? Full scope. All right, we got the
Week
Bears.
10.
They're better than the Bears. They're better than the Giants. Better than the Saints. They're about one and what with Atlanta.
But if you think Atlanta's going to win the division, they're really not competing for the same playoff spot.
Yeah,
because somebody's got to come out of the South.
So one. Yeah, I say they're a playoff lock coming out of the NFC. They'll be like that 6 or 7 seed.
And you know what? That's a hell of a season for O'Connell and them.
Yeah.
With McCarthy getting injured in the preseason, I think Darnold was looked at initially as just a stopgap quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
To be 6-2 with him, to be in a position where I think both of us are pretty much saying they're going to win double-digit games.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if not for Dan Quinn in Washington, I think that's a great resume for coach of the year. I mean, they were picked universally to finish in last place.
Yeah.
Behind Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
I like
I think Darnold would have to get hurt for them to miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
But even then, we saw them be competitive with Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see those guys being. Yeah, I say they're a lot. I could see Kevin and Sam Darnold getting those guys in, especially the way defense is so optimistic on turnovers, sacking the quarterback, getting those key stops in the red zone, and Justin Jefferson just seemed to defenses don't know where he is, although they know where he is,
Yeah.
which is mind-boggling. So yeah, I can see Minnesota being a playoff lock. Bills and the Colts teams tried trading for Anthony Richardson. What would you have traded for him?
I would have taken a second round pick if I were the Colts. And that would have been selling low on him because you drafted him in the top 10. But his completion percentage this year is 44%. You're never going to win with that, even if he's the greatest running quarterback of all time. You're just not going to have sustained success.
Yeah.
And I think it's less than 50-50 that he figures that part of the game out.
Mhm.
So if somebody wanted to trade me a top 60 pick for him, I would have said, hey, Anthony, it just didn't work here. You're a young, raw quarterback. Like, we'll take some of the blame or ownership for it, but go get your fresh start somewhere else. Somebody made us an offer that was too good. I'm not, quote unquote, completely giving up on him, but you absolutely could have. If I were Chris Ballard, the GM there, you wouldn't have needed to give me a first round pick to trade him. I would have done it for less.
Yeah. I don't think no one would have gave him a first rounder though.
No, come on now,
No,
right? I mean,
it's not
that's
happening.
got to be off the board with the way he's played. And even though it hasn't been a full season of games, it's not the type of quarterback play that you think you can build your team around.
Yeah, not at all. And hell, honestly, you'll be lucky if you got a second round.
Well, I'd love to know. Like, Schefter didn't get into this, but I'd love to know what the offers looked like. If teams were trying to like
Yeah.
swindle for like a fourth or fifth round pick or something ridiculous like that. Like, think about this. I know he was in the last year of his deal. The Steelers got Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick.
That's what I'm
Justin Fields.
saying.
Justin Fields a way better quarterback than Anthony
That's what I'm
Richardson.
saying. That's what I'm saying. There's no way that they're giving up a second round draft pick for Anthony Richardson. No chance. Ain't no team trade giving that away.
Titans and Chargers. So Jim Harbaugh wrote a letter to the NFL this week complaining about the lack of roughing calls on Justin Herbert. He thinks his quarterback's getting killed, and he's not getting the whistle. He's not getting the flags. They're not treating him like a true franchise quarterback. Is this a smart move, or is this Jim Harbaugh being kind of a whiny baby here? Pat, what's your perspective on this as a former defensive player?
Coach being a whiny baby, just because the refs protect the quarterback like the most out of everybody on the field last time I checked. And they don't miss many calls when it comes to the quarterback, except for the one that non-face mask calls on. 2 non-face mask calls on Joe Burrow and 1 last week against Sam Darnold. So, but they rarely miss roughing the passing calls. So I think Coach Harbaugh just being a whiny baby. But I mean, he is the quarterback. I mean, if you look at it as well, Justin always been the guy who's been getting hit throughout the course of his career. You know, so he's always getting peeled up off the ground. Is something wrong with his arm, with his hand, broken fingers, knee, ankle. He's always been a quarterback that's always on the ground. So they just got to do a better job of getting the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker, so he's not being lifted up off the ground every time he dropped back for those 5 and 7 step dropbacks.
I think it's Harbaugh knowing that it's not going to change the way that the games are officiated whatsoever. But I think it's a way of him trying to tell or show Herbert that he's got his back.
Yeah.
That he's there for him. I think it's a complete move for optics to just create the appearance in his player's mind that he's willing to go and take it all the way up the ladder to try to, protect his player. And I think that guys love that. I think that probably went over well within that locker room, and especially with the quarterback, that like this guy's willing to like bitch and complain on my behalf. As I'm guessing he might feel like the last couple of coaches there didn't do that for him.
But
So
who reported this? Because this happens all the
Harbaugh
time,
came out and said
right?
it at his press conference. He wanted it
Oh,
out
okay,
there.
gotcha. Yeah, coaches do this all the time. Yeah, coaches just normally don't come out and say it in the media. But yeah, coaches they write letters to whoever they need to write letters to. Because I remember Coach Bruce Arians used to talk about that all the time. He said, I spoke with such and such, and they gave me some. Coach was Coach Arians, so
Yep.
he has very, very few words, but none of them are English words. If you know what I mean. So
They're all F-bombs.
exactly.
Did you ever
Exactly.
did you ever try to contact the league office about anything?
I have before.
Yeah.
I have before. Yeah, man. It was about um what was this one about? I think this was like way back in the day, man. When they used to fine us. Well, attempt to fine us for not having, I guess, our socks not high enough. But I'm like, if we're wearing a white sock or we're wearing the color sock that we're supposed to be wearing, you can see it, it's visible. So now you're going to be out there with a ruler saying that it needs to be 6 inches or 4 inches or whatever the case may be. Like, I have socks on, so I used to get fined about my socks all the time of not being too high. And I remember talking to, who was it at the time? I can't remember who the uniform guy was, but then they end up over the years, they end up starting to get a little bit more lenient on how high the socks needed to be. Then now, if you look at it, now you see guys putting like a strip of tape now around their ankles just so you can have like a little white strip showing. But I just thought that was always bogus.
You didn't like the high sock. You didn't want to
Nah,
wear a high sock?
nah, I was not a high sock guy. Cause man, it's just so heavy and like why
Oh, so it
do
wasn't an appearance thing. You thought it like slowed you down kind of deal.
Yeah, so I'd rather
Okay.
just wear the tights and just put some footies on. I wish we could just be like we were in college. You know what I mean? Just you don't have to have any socks on. I think that's fire. But I get it. It's a uniform thing, so they want everyone to look the same, look unified. So I think that's where it came from, far as everyone having the, same socks, same length, and things like that.
Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Bears. Anything on these last two games here, Pat?
Man, Jets, Cardinals. That honestly might be, let me look at these games. That might be the best game of the week. That one in the Steelers and the Commanders.
Lions, Texans.
That's a good game, but that then the Jets and Cardinals, man, just because everybody still have I don't. Everyone still have high hopes for the Jets. Cardinals on a winning streak, Jets going out west. Um, it's going to be a showdown. Look like Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are finally starting to click. What my man Devontae Adams said, Rome was built twice. I didn't know that, but he gave me a little piece of history. What else? And and just Garrett Wilson, what he's been able to do the last couple of weeks since Devontae Adams has been added to that offense. So
Yeah, but you're still
um,
not buying it. Don't pump their tires too
no,
much because
no,
you
I'm
don't.
not. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm just saying. That's why I say I'm not buying it, but America is. So that's just the hopes that the Jets have, and these Cardinals. Like I've been saying since week 5, this is a very sneaky defense. And last week they won in a fashion that you didn't even need Kyler Murray to be spectacular for them to go out there and win. Had a great run, a solid running game. Defense turning the ball over, getting after the quarterback, creating havoc on the special teams. So this team is looking like they're starting to find their way and playing with a lot of confidence. So that's why I say that game is going to be sneaky good. Then you got the Titans and the Bears.
No, Patriots and Bears. My bad. It's Patriots and
Oh, I'm
Bears.
sorry. Patriots and the Bears. The Bears should get back on a winning streak there. Hopefully, they're not still thinking about what happened in Washington.
I think this is a Matt Eberflus got to have it game. I think if they
Yeah.
lose, his ass could get fired on Monday. If they
Yeah.
get beat by New England at home, given everything that's come out of there the last few days, the
Mhm.
Jay Glazer report that Tyreek Stevenson, when he found out he was going to get punished for the play at the end of the Washington game, just left practice. I mean, come on now, dude. That's like, you don't respect your coach's word or authority that much. You're like, deuces, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not a conducive environment for winning.
Yeah.
When stuff like that starts to happen, and then stuff like that leaks out about what happened. So Drake May's had some good games. He's had some moments. And if New England's able to pull the upset, I think we could see changes to the coaching staff in Chicago.
As
Pat,
early as this before the season's over.
Putting up with my voice and my antics, rough one for me. Same thing with Spence. I got to just guzzle tea and honey the rest of the way. And I want to thank everybody for listening to First and Pod. Listen and subscribe. Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts, we're everywhere. Tell your friends, subscribe, rate, review. We'll be back Sunday night after Lions and Texans. Talk to you then.